I should have listened to the other photographers who warned me about Willowbrook State School. I'd been doing night photography for about 3 years when I first heard about the abandoned asylum on Staten Island. The place had been closed since 1987, and while it was technically off limits, every urban explorer in the tri-state area had shot there at least once. I had to get my own shots. I went on a Friday night in October. The air was cold enough to see my breath. I parked about half a mile away and hiked in with my camera bag, tripod, and flashlights. The main building loomed against the night sky, darker than the darkness around it. The first hour was perfect. I got amazing long exposure shots of the main hallway, the way moonlight filtered through broken windows. I moved deeper into the complex, into what I later learned was the children's ward. That's when the temperature dropped. It was 55 degrees outside, but in that hallway, I could see my breath in thick clouds. My fingers were going numb. The cold seemed to follow me as I moved. Then I heard footsteps. They matched mine exactly. When I stopped, they stopped. When I walked, they walked. I called out, but only my echo answered. I decided to take one last shot before leaving. I set up my tripod in an old common room and set my exposure for 30 seconds. I stood completely still, watching the seconds count down. At second 23, I heard breathing behind me, close enough that I should have felt it on my neck. I didn't turn around. I grabbed my gear the moment the shutter closed and ran. The footsteps followed me, keeping pace no matter how fast I moved. When I got home around 2 a.m., I reviewed the shots. Everything looked normal until that last photo. In the doorway at the far end, there was a figure, a shadow darker than any shadow should be. But worse, when I zoomed in, I could see something in the foreground too, just behind where I'd been standing. Another shadow, reaching toward where my head would have been. I deleted the photo and went to bed, but I couldn't sleep. The next morning, I woke up to find my camera sitting on my dresser, turned on. I know I'd put it away in my bag. I checked the memory card. There were 3 new photos taken at 3:47 a.m., all of me asleep in my bed, taken from different angles around my room. I stayed at a friend's place that night. When I came back, every photo I owned had been corrupted. Then I found muddy footprints leading from my front door to my bedroom and back, repeating over and over. The mud was the same reddish-brown soil from Willowbrook. I contacted another urban explorer. He told me about the 3-day rule. If something follows you home from Willowbrook, you have 3 days to return what you took. The building considers your photographs theft. On day 4, I woke up to find my bedroom door wide open and all the lights on. I'd locked the door. On my pillow, right next to my head, was a piece of peeling paint, the same pale green from that children's ward. I burned every backup drive. I destroyed my memory cards. I smashed my camera to pieces. Then I drove back to Staten Island and threw everything inside the front entrance of that asylum. That was 2 years ago. The footsteps stopped. The sense of being watched faded. But I never did night photography again. And sometimes, late at night when I'm trying to fall asleep, I still hear that breathing behind me, just for a second, just long enough to remind me that some places don't want to be photographed.